Hello, this is Julius from Basic Financials. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what you might have been hearing in the news recently about bounce back loans. This is something that is current news, so if you're watching this video in a year's time it might have all gone by the way, but I'm talking, we're in February 2021 at the moment. It's just started to come out in the news that companies have been taking out bounce back loans, £50,000, when they're not really trading. All that people have been doing is setting up companies and claiming these bounce back loans from the banks. Now, this is quite an interesting little. I'm going to be straying into ranting territory here. It's all to do with banks and governments. And originally, when coronavirus kicked in, the government arranged for coronavirus business interruption loans. These were bigger loans potentially, and based on your turnover. And the government backed 80% of the loans. Now that left the banks exposed to 20% of the loans. Now, because banks don't like being exposed to anything, they treated these loans as just normal loans, and they would really go through all the normal procedures for any bank loan, and possibly even asking for personal guarantees, which they were actually told not to do eventually, but that's how it started. And basically banks not wanting to be exposed to anything, even 20%. So what inevitably happened was the loans became very, very, very difficult to obtain. That wasn't the idea, because the government knew that businesses suffering from the effects of the coronavirus and lockdown needed instant help, not going through a 2-3 month process to try and get a bank loan. So eventually the government brought out these bounce back loans. Now those were 100% backed by the government. So no exposure to the banks. The banks would get their interest, although it's an interest-free loan for the first year. The banks still get their interest from the government or the taxpayer, the average person, as always. So the banks had no exposure. We're going to get their fees and interest paid by the government to start with, and then after a year they get the interest from the business. Originally they were going to be then repaid no repayments in the first year, but 6 years after that, or 5 years after that, but now it's been extended to 10 years. But because the banks had no exposure, and the idea was that it was supposed to be a quick loan, it was very quick. It was a one-page form. The banks really were quite eager to dish out these loans, I think. They've got nothing to lose, have they? So very little checks, one-page online application, and pretty much you got the money within 2 or 3 days into your bank account. Very little checks. Okay, you can't necessarily blame the banks or the government for that. It did what it was supposed to do. It got money into companies or businesses quickly, which is what the idea was. But inevitably, lots of people have just set up companies and fraudulently, because they've not made the declaration, they're supposed to have been affected running a trade, and you've been affected by coronavirus, but they've set up their businesses, often companies, and just applied for these loans, got them, and then what will eventually probably happen is that they will, if they're not caught anyway, they'll probably disappear with the money. Yeah, that sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? But that seems to be what's happening. Hopefully it's not on a big scale, and it's known about. It's in the press now, so although this probably has been going on quite a long time, hopefully it will be the government will be able to push back on it and find the people who have done it fraudulently. But let's not forget that on the whole, it's probably going to be helping out businesses a lot, this scheme, so maybe the benefits will outweigh the negative effects. It's just horrible when you hear about it, isn't it? And definitely don't do it. If you're in any doubt, don't get the loan. If you don't need the loan, then you shouldn't really get it. Yeah, I mean, it's not a black and white area. I mean, it could be that you're okay, you've got money in the bank, but you don't know what's going to happen. So therefore, you might think you're okay, but you could do with it some extra money. In which case, maybe it is okay to do it, because you're giving yourself a cushion for things that might happen, and it's legitimate. If you're going to carry on trading, the only time not to do it really is if you just know you're doing it fraudulently, because you're going to disappear with the money. Don't do that. Okay. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them in the box below. Sorry that was a bit of a ranting video, but anyway, just thought I'd put it out there. And yeah, I'll see you again for another video soon. If you could like and subscribe as usual, that would be great. And yeah, thanks for listening.